Hey fellow witches and wizards, let's pull back the curtain on one of the most chilling families in the Harry Potter saga, the Lestranges. As we delve into the pages of these beloved books, we uncover not just a history, but a stark warning woven into their very existence. This isn't just about villains, it's an analysis of how dangerous ideologies take root and fester. The Lestrange name echoes through the history of the wizarding world, an ancient and supposedly noble house. But nobility in their case was often synonymous with a deep-seated affinity for the dark arts. Their lineage is less a source of pride and more a cautionary marker of a family consistently drawn to power and cruelty. From generation to generation, the Lestranges cultivated a reputation for being on the fringes, if not outright practitioners of dark magic. They weren't just dabblers, they were architects of fear. Their family tree is tangled with whispers of unforgivable acts long before Voldemort's rise. This historical connection to darkness wasn't accidental, it was a chosen path. It set the stage for their later, more infamous deeds. Understanding their past helps us understand the fertile ground upon which Voldemort's poisonous seeds of hate would later fall. At the rotten core of the Lestrange ideology lay the fanatical belief in blood purity. This wasn't just a preference, it was a religion to them. A perversion of wizarding heritage. They genuinely believed that only those with pure wizarding blood were truly worthy, truly powerful, truly right. This dangerous myth dictated their lives, their alliances, and their hatred. It blinded them to the talents and worth of anyone deemed impure. Muggle-borns were seen as vermin, half-bloods as tainted, and even blood traitors, purebloods who associated with non-purebloods, were considered beneath contempt. The concept of blood purity, as explored in the books through families like the Lestranges, serves as a potent allegory. It shows how arbitrary distinctions can be weaponized to create division and justify horrific discrimination. It's a chilling reflection of real-world prejudices. When Lord Voldemort emerged, promising a world cleansed of impure blood, the Lestranges found their perfect leader. Their pre-existing prejudices made them ripe for his manipulation. They didn't just follow him, they worshipped him with a terrifying zealotry. Their loyalty was absolute, unwavering, and utterly ruthless. They were among his most trusted and feared lieutenants during the First Wizarding War. Their commitment wasn't born of coercion, but of a shared, twisted vision for the wizarding world. This fanatical devotion highlights a key theme: how easily deeply held prejudices can lead individuals to embrace tyranny. The Lestranges weren't forced into darkness. They ran towards it, eager to serve the one who validated their hate. Their story warns us about the seductive nature of ideologies that promise power through exclusion. During Voldemort's initial reign of terror, the Lestranges were at the forefront of the persecution. They actively hunted, tortured, and murdered those who opposed the Dark Lord or who fell short of their blood purity standards. Their name became synonymous with dread throughout the wizarding community. They were instrumental in enforcing Voldemort's brutal regime. Their actions weren't just random acts of violence. They were calculated moves to instill fear and break the spirit of resistance. They targeted Muggle-borns, members of the Order of the Phoenix, and anyone who dared to stand against the rising tide of darkness. The stories of their cruelty, whispered in hushed tones, served Voldemort's purpose perfectly. They were living embodiments of his power and his willingness to use extreme violence. Their role in the First War is a grim reminder of the human cost of unchecked hatred and authoritarianism. The blood purity myth wasn't just a belief system, it was a weapon. It fueled the Lestranges' actions and justified their atrocities in their own minds. This dangerous ideology bred fear, suspicion, and deep rifts within the wizarding community, tearing families and friendships apart. It created a hierarchy based on nothing but birthright, denying opportunities and basic dignity to countless witches and wizards. The constant threat of exposure and persecution forced many Muggle-borns into hiding, or worse, the myth wasn't harmless. It had tangible, devastating consequences for real lives. Analyzing this aspect of the Lestrange story in the books shows us how prejudice, when institutionalized and acted upon, can dismantle a society. It highlights the fragility of peace and the ease with which fear can be used to control and oppress. The myth's legacy of pain lingered long after Voldemort's initial defeat. Perhaps the most infamous and heartbreaking act attributed directly to the Lestranges was the torture of Frank and Alice Longbottom. After Voldemort's fall, Bellatrix, Rodolphus, Rabastan Lestrange, and Barty Crouch Jr. sought to find their master. They targeted the Longbottoms, prominent Aurors and Order members, believing they had information. Their methods were unspeakable, employing the Cruciatus Curse until the Longbottoms were driven to irreversible insanity. This wasn't just an act of loyalty, it was an act of pure sadism, born from their fanatical devotion and their inherent cruelty. It left two heroes permanently incapacitated, and their young son Neville orphaned in spirit. This specific event serves as a powerful visceral example of the Lestrange's depravity and the real-world consequences of their ideology and loyalty. It underscores the cautionary message: hate doesn't just harm its targets, it destroys families and leaves lasting scars on generations. Neville's journey through the books is forever shaped by this tragedy. Even after years in Azkaban, the Lestranges, particularly Bellatrix, remained utterly unrepentant and fiercely loyal to Voldemort upon his return. Their time in prison had only hardened their resolve and intensified their madness. They immediately rejoined the Death Eater ranks, eager to resume their reign of terror. Bellatrix Lestrange, in particular, became one of Voldemort's most feared and active Death Eaters during the Second Wizarding War. Her cruelty was legendary, her skill in the dark arts formidable, and her devotion absolute. She reveled in causing pain and chaos, embodying the worst aspects of her family's legacy. Her actions during this period, from the Battle of the Department of Mysteries to the skirmishes leading up to the Battle of Hogwarts, further cemented the Lestrange name as a symbol of pure, unadulterated evil. Their continued presence served as a constant threat and a reminder of the darkness that still lurked. Bellatrix Lestrange stands out as the most prominent and terrifying member of the family in the books. Her character is a masterclass in depicting the destructive power of fanaticism and sadism. She wasn't just a follower, she was a true believer, finding joy in the suffering of others. Her relationship with Voldemort was one of obsessive adoration, bordering on madness. She craved his approval and sought to emulate his cruelty. Her actions, from murdering Sirius Black to torturing Hermione Granger, were driven by a potent mix of ideology, loyalty, and inherent viciousness. Analyzing Bellatrix allows us to see the ultimate endpoint of the Lestrange family's trajectory. She is the culmination of generations of embracing darkness and prejudice. Her character serves as a chilling warning about how unchecked hate and devotion can utterly corrupt a soul. Even their family vault at Gringotts provides insight into their priorities. Filled not just with gold but with dark artifacts and treasures acquired through questionable means, it reflects their true wealth, power, dark magic, and the spoils of their cruelty. It's a physical manifestation of their twisted values. The fact that they stored items of immense dark power, like the Hufflepuff Cup Horcrux, within their family vault speaks volumes. It shows their deep immersion in the dark arts and their willingness to protect Voldemort's most prized possessions. Their vault wasn't just a bank account, it was a repository of their dark legacy. This detail, seemingly small, reinforces the larger theme. The Lestranges were not just wealthy, they were wealthy in darkness. Their material possessions were intertwined with their commitment to Voldemort and their embrace of forbidden magic. The Lestrange family's story in the Harry Potter books is more than just a subplot. It's a crucial part of the narrative's moral framework. Their legacy is one of pain, destruction, and the devastating consequences of embracing hate and prejudice. They serve as a constant reminder of the darkness that exists and the importance of fighting against it. Their actions highlight how ideologies like blood purity can dehumanize others and justify unspeakable cruelty. The fear they instilled, the lives they ruined, and the trauma they inflicted are woven into the fabric of the wizarding world's recent history. Their name will forever be associated with the darkest period of modern wizarding times. Analyzing their story encourages us to look beyond the magic and see the very real-world parallels. The Lestranges are a fictional creation, but the forces that drove them, prejudice, fanaticism, the lust for power through oppression, are all too real. Their legacy is a cautionary tale for us all. The Lestrange family's story compels us, as readers and as people, to confront the uncomfortable truths about prejudice. The blood purity myth they championed is a stand-in for all forms of discrimination based on arbitrary characteristics. The books use their example to show us the horrific endpoint of such thinking. Just as characters like Harry, Ron, and Hermione fight against Voldemort and his followers, the story urges us to challenge prejudice in our own world. It teaches us that silence in the face of hate is complicity, We must actively dismantle harmful ideologies wherever we find them. The Lestranges are a fictional warning sign. They show us the potential for evil when hate is allowed to flourish unchecked. Their story is a call to action, reminding us that the fight for equality and tolerance is not confined to the pages of a fantasy novel. It is a real and ongoing struggle.